Hey stinkheads, and welcome back. You know what we're all here for, the 90-day fiance tell-all, the finale. But I'm just gonna jump right into it because the episode just gets right into it as well. The last episode we end off with Lauren leaving. Her and Alexi have to go back home and live their lives. And particularly Sophie and Thais aren't very happy about it. Thais herself said that Lauren was talking crap about her on the pillow talk, but when they showed the clip, all she really said was that she liked John.
I would love to hang out with John. He's so funny. He's so annoying, but he's like my favorite person in the whole season.
Yeah. But Sophie and Thais are like, we didn't even get to like ask you any questions or anything. So she decides to sit down and give them their little 5 minutes. But Lauren proceeds to sit down and ask like, what are your questions? What you have to ask me? And nobody asked them anything. Like, Sophie goes into that they don't have any questions because they show like a picture perfect life. Like they don't show any bad side to themselves. And that made Lauren, I wouldn't say snap, but she got kind of rude pretty fast.
And it looks like very perfect. Are you not here? Did you not see us fighting? I kind of get it now.
The way the room got so quiet too, like this could have just been avoided by just letting them leave. I'm actually gonna put this in here right now because I don't want to talk about them later on in the episode. When Sophie and Thais were upset with Lauren for not staying, I kind of understood because I'm like, why wouldn't you stay in the house for the last night with them, you know? But at the same time, I also understood Lauren and Alexi's reasoning too because they have children, they have work, they gotta go. But later on, it shows them all going back to the mansion, packing up and leaving. So they weren't even staying an extra night or anything. They just were going back to the mansion to basically get their stuff and go. But Lauren and Alexi just left from the tell-all instead of going back to the mansion to get their stuff. So it was like, it wasn't even that big of a deal. But while Sophie and Lauren are going back and forth, Thais decides to finally input herself in. And this is where that John part comes in. Thais brings up that Lauren was talking crap about her, but then says the thing that she was saying was what the clip showed, that she likes John. So Lauren talking crap was her saying that she likes John. And since Thais doesn't like John, that's her talking crap about Thais.
So you just gonna bring me a birthday gift on my birthday to my birthday party on my birthday with a birthday gift? Happy birthday?
I guess if you want to interpret it that way, sure. Lauren didn't really say anything bad about Thais. I felt like Thais just took offense to her liking John. But after that, the argument continues to just keep hopping back between Sophie and Lauren. Sophie just saying that she just is portraying this picture perfect life. And Lauren, of course, trying to defend herself. And Alexi is finally just like, I'm done with this. Can we go? So he takes his wife and leaves. But the argument does not stop. Thais comes in and starts arguing, and I feel like everything she was saying didn't make any sense. I felt like she was just being mad to be mad. Like, everything she was saying wasn't connecting to what Lauren was saying, and then she was just saying random stuff.
Saying that he should defend you.
Don't talk
Why
to
isn't he
someone
defending
like
you
that.
right now?
I'm talking to you. We're not involved in husbands here. I'm talking to you. Why you say that? You're not better than anyone. You're not better than
never
anyone.
said I was.
Finally, somebody other than Sophie and Thais speaks up, and of course it's Ed. But he actually gets the conversation riled down and is like, if you have questions for this person, which you've been saying you've had questions that you've been wanting to question them, ask them the questions. So Lauren sits back down and she's like, do you have any questions for me? Sophie and Thais are still just sitting there looking stupid. So it's like, what was all this hoopla for if you didn't even want to talk to them? Like, you didn't have any questions for them or anything. So why cause all of this scene? If you don't like her, then just don't like her and live on with your life. So Emily is like, let them go to the dang airport. Like, if you have no questions, then let them go.
No.
Sophie just goes back into she has no respect for anybody there because she wants to go home early, which again, like I said, they're not even staying for like, not even overnight, like not even another like 3 hours maybe in the mansion. They're all going home to pack and leave. So I could understand if this was like the first or the second part of the tell-all and they had their bit and then they left, then I would have been like, that's kind of weird. But this is the very last day. So instead of letting these people people leave and go home, the bickering continues. And then Thais brings up again about the pillow talk. And this time she's like,
Please tell me on pillow talk what I said.
Because you were like, she saw this, she saw that. Just, oh, I don't like it.
Again, she had nothing. She had no legitimate thing that Lauren has said other than that she liked John. So she's offended by her liking John. And then she got upset that Lauren congratulated her on having her baby. Like, what? You can't even put the hatred aside for the child. All she did was congratulate you for your baby, and you're mad about that too?
Insubordinate and churlish.
But something that breaks the tension, which was so funny. Well, not even breaks the tension. It broke it for me anyway. While they're going back and forth, Lauren and Thais, Patrick just puts his little part in. Well, not even his little part in. He just, I don't know, feeling FOMO or something.
I am defending you right now.
Now you're defending?
I said it then.
Which I do, by the way.
But to just wrap this up really quickly, Sophie basically dismisses her. Lauren walks out in a very lovely way.
Lovely to meet you.
And then they have a tournament on who has the most things going on with them.
Had an anxiety attack.
I suffer from Tourette syndrome,
Okay, then you
anxiety,
should understand.
OCD.
You should understand.
And Alexei finally ends the battle. This is like just so ridiculous. Like this, none of this had to have happened. Thais and Sophie could have just been mad and let her leave. Like they had no questions for her. And Thais didn't have anything really genuinely to be mad about. This whole part was just ridiculous. But before they leave, Emily kind of in a way comforts them, basically just saying that she's sorry that they had to leave like that, and it's ridiculous that they brought up anything when they didn't have anything to say. And on their way out, they run into the Wicked Witch of the South. She gives them some parting words, basically saying that they're all haters because Lauren is way sexier than all of them, and it even tells her, as long as you have haters, I mean, you're doing something good, you know, haters are your best motivators. But then goes on to say,
Let's go where we're gonna miss our
You're
plane.
doing something right. Now you look into my world.
Bitch, bye.
I don't think anybody's hating on Angela. I think people just hate Angela. But now it's time for everybody to pack up and get on out. But as they're leaving, they see Michael and Angela. They say they're not staying for the last night. Well, Angela says that she's leaving, but Michael can stay because when she gets back home, she's hiring that lawyer to take her visa back. But as they're all giving their hugs and their goodbyes, Jasmine gives her some words of encouragement and love.
Take care. And what I told you, I really mean it, okay?
I do believe
I've been there.
What's the future for you guys?
Anger management.
But everybody is just trying to understand the situation. And of course, it's all Michael's fault. Michael should have listened. He should have did the things that he had to do. So now she's just gonna go home and get that lawyer. And even Rob, again, points out the PI had nothing on Michael. So what's going on? And she just cuts him off and is like, Rob, you know, I'm exhausted. Like, she doesn't want to listen to anybody, even the person that she hired. But she tells everybody, I'm just gonna go home, I'm gonna get that lawyer, and I'm gonna get my visa annulled from him. And that is where things start to pop off. Kobe just starts to go in defending Michael, of course, just saying like, this is too much. And of course, Angela is like not wanting to hear it. She's like, well, take him home with you if you want him. But then Jasmine questions her about saying my visa, and Angela goes into her whole, I'm an American, I got rights, I pay my taxes, Michael. But Kobe again stands up and basically points out, if you saw all this a long time ago, you shouldn't have brought him here. Like, you should have saw all of this so long ago. She just starts going in on Kobe, calling him a male chauvinist pig, and points out their age difference again. For some reason, like, that makes any like difference about anything, because God forbid if Michael ever brought up their age difference. Oh my God.
Flashback.
Well, when you get my age, you'll realize time flies quickly.
I know, baby.
That's when I'm back to the age thing. It bothers me more than it bothers you. See?
It bothers me too.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
But then why did you just say that?
You know, I'll never complain about the age.
What the did you say then?
But Angela, while yelling, makes the rest of her rounds to give out her hugs and tries to leave without Michael, basically just telling him to go back with his bro because she's gonna go home all alone. Remember that. I want you guys to remember that. She wants to go home all alone. But after they leave, this kind of makes Jasmine spiral a little bit. I think it's just bringing her back to when Gino, I guess, was holding her visa over her head. So she's just explaining that she feels really bad for him because it sucks to be in that situation, to have somebody like basically have your rights just like dangling over your head and just not letting you be somebody, be a person. I can't imagine that, and it's making Jasmine just go into a dark place that she's been in before. So while Jasmine's crying, Ashley actually tries to go out and talk to Angela and let her know that Jasmine's in there crying, and Angela's straight up like, I don't give a fuck. Like, just 10 seconds ago you were telling her you love her and you were hugging her, and now you know she's crying, you're like, fuck her.
Good night, guys. I love you, Jazz. That's why. Jasmine's in there. I don't care.
But while she's hooting and hollering, Kobe decides to come out. Of course, he wants to defend his bro. And it's not even just because it's his bro. It's because this situation is just not okay. And nobody is sticking up for Michael. But after they bicker back and forth for a little bit, Angela says this one-liner. And I feel like she was practicing this before she got here. She's like, I know I'm going to use this on somebody because... and this is the last chance I got on camera.
You don't understand.
I am not defending it. I am just talking based off what I am
saying. Hold on a minute. You just made me have to go take because you're as full of as he is.
Oh my goodness.
But it's funny because when Michael walks out the building to try to go to Angela, after Angela has told him to get away and basically go back to the mansion and all that, she comes and is like, have you seen my cigarettes, Michael? When she needs them little schmigarettes, she gets real nice. But of course, Angela goes back into saying that people don't know what Michael has actually done. They don't know him like she knows him. And if we don't know, then show us. Show us what he's done. Give us some proof. Even the PI himself couldn't find anything. But Kobe comes on over and is trying to educate Michael. But this just spirals out of control. I couldn't even stay with what was being said and thrown around.
That's something I want you to understand.
You can tell him to shut his
I am not shutting my mouth.
You don't have a reason.
I'm trying to educate you. Bitch. Kobe.
You bitch!
Stupid bitch. And then after she's done with all that, she's like, no disrespect to you though, Emily. You're just about to sit here and call this woman's husband a bitch 20 times and then turn around and be like, no disrespect though. I'm sure if Emily wasn't pregnant, she probably would have stepped into that, but thankfully she did not. But after they finally get the fight calmed down, Kobe basically just says he does not care about Angela. She basically makes herself look like an ass and in a way just feels sorry for Michael, but he does have hope that Michael is going to get out of the situation. And now they do a little interview with Michael, and of course he's saying all the same things, that he just wants to fix his marriage and things like that. And he says one particular thing that I'm like, I don't know if maybe it's just because he doesn't know how to express himself very well, because I'm horrible with words. So when I try to describe things or try to form a sentence, it's that's not what I'm truly trying to say. It's it's touching what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm saying? Even right now, I can't even describe what I'm trying to say, but he probably shouldn't have put that part in there. But you know what? We're going to float past that part. But he just says that he doesn't want to go back and he wants to fix his marriage. But at a certain point, you can only take so much. So, but everybody gets back to the house. And again, like I said, they're mostly packing. So it's not much of a party. Liz, Kobe, and Patrick get the party started by taking some picklebacks. I'm guessing it's probably just a shot with pickle juice. I don't know. Then we hop over to Jasmine and Ed having a conversation. And she's just explaining how that she does like Ashley. She just doesn't understand why it took her forever to get his paperwork done. And she asked what if she was trying to delay the paperwork on purpose. And then proceeds to say that Manuel was secretly DMing her on Instagram.
And Manuel has texted me privately, my social media.
Wait, hold on a second. What?
He has texted me privately in my social media, and he always asks me to delete the conversation. He said, I'm gonna delete the conversation, and I want you to delete it as well. Please, Jasmine.
Got him. We fucking got him.
Every single time they've had something brought up crazy like this, it's always something innocent. Other than when Jasmine brought up who Gino was watching in those videos, like his ex-sugar baby. So that was the only one where I was like, what? But yeah, anytime they have one of these moments, it's always so innocent. But of course, it goes into something innocent. Apparently, Manuel was just texting Jasmine in a very innocent way, and he was just asking for advice about the paperwork and just different things in that process, but for some reason was asking her to delete the conversations, which is weird. Like, if it was just innocent, so that sparks up the conversation is like Ashley controlling him in a way.
He told me in the text that I am being controlled.
Wait, he texted that to you?
Yes.
Now, this does take us to a car ride where apparently Manuel and Ashley were the only two people in the car, but she just goes into saying that when he said maybe to, when they asked if he was like committed to this relationship, she said that hurt her, which of course you don't want to hear that from your partner. But he brings up that if he can't work here, if he can't do anything here, then he's gonna want to go back to Ecuador because that's where his kids are, that's where he can make money. Like, he doesn't want to just sit here and not be able to do anything for his family, on top of not being able to spend time with his family. But she asks him a very specific question and says,
I'm asking you a blatant question. Does your marriage to me depend on whether or not you can get work? Like, just answer the question.
Good question to ask. Very understandable. Want to know where the marriage is going. But I feel like you can't be mad about it if he can't ever get work here and he wants to go back home. I mean, if you guys want to stay married after he moves back, then that's a whole different conversation. But you can't be mad that he would want to go back to a place where he can support himself and his children and not have to worry about you being stressed out and you guys having arguments and all kinds of stuff. The whole thing seems to be lying around money. She's always so stressed out because she's paying everything, and he's stressed out because she's not like helping with the paperwork so he can help her pay some of the bills so she's not stressed out. So it's like, it's a legitimate question of her to ask, but I feel like she can't be mad if he's like, yeah, I want to go back home. Like, I don't know. As Ashley and Manuel are heading to the house, people are still at home having a conversation about them, saying that it was selfish of her to delay the paperwork, especially with her spending hours at the gym, hours doing all these other things. But at the same time, while they're walking up, Ashley is still like, oh, so you think I'm selfish? This was about the time where what Ashley was saying and doing was giving me like the icky feeling. She was walking in basically being like, oh, I'm selfish even though I did all this work to bring you over to do this, to do that. And I feel like, yes, it's a lot of work, it's hard work, and being the American counterpart, bringing something to America, you are gonna have to go through a lot of that. But when you put yourself in this situation for love, you already know this was gonna be a lot of work. So that feels like just another thing that some of these people do in hang over their partner's head. I had to do all this work, so you basically have to like worship and praise me and like never make me feel bad because I did so much work to bring you here to the land of the great. And it's like, that is just so icky to me. Like, yeah, you did a lot of hard work, but it's something that you wanted to do. It wasn't like nobody forced you to do this. It was something for both of you. This part was just like making me feel really icky. And while Manuel is going up the stairs, he actually was ahead of her, but Ashley like power walked herself up the stairs and like squeezed in between them to get into the hallway, and then goes into the room and closes the doors on him, being like, no, I need this alone time.
That shit is so disrespectful.
But while Manuel's kicked outside, the producers start to talk to him, and he says that Ashley is actually just giving him little bits of money to send to his kids, and it's not enough, that he has to pay $200 a month, and Ashley's not giving him all that. So his sister had to take out some credit to be able to help pay for his child support. But while he's explaining this, Ashley comes out and she's still fixated on the selfish thing and is like, why did you call me selfish? Manuel is like, why are you selfish? But Manuel basically just goes into saying that she's selfish because they've had so much time to fix the relationship. And then that leads in her saying that she gave her entire life to him in this relationship.
Flashback. Why was there a delay in filing his paperwork?
Because the bitch is busy. Exactly. I'm running a whole entire business, working on my own weight loss journey, lost 100 pounds by my damn self.
If anything, you're only giving him like 10% of your life. I'm sorry. Of course, don't ever give your whole life to somebody unless it's your child or something. But even then, like, you have to have something for you. So for her to say that was just dumb. You don't do that. But then on top of that, earlier you saying like you're too busy to help him with his life. Like, the math isn't mathing. I'm sorry. But again, it just goes into her being upset that she's not getting praise for doing all this stuff for him, even though she's worked so hard and done all these things. But then this goes into the argument about the paperwork that was supposed to be filed, which I wish this was brought up on stage. Apparently, Ashley printed the papers and asked him to fill out some stuff, but he wouldn't. And Manuel said he never got any papers. If I'm going to have to lean to one side, I'm gonna lean on Manuel's side, because if this was the case, why didn't you bring this up on the tell? Like, why didn't you bring this up on the stage that you printed out those papers and he wasn't filling them out? The whole thing that was being brought up was that he didn't want to learn English, so you had to hire a lawyer. So why didn't you say that she printed these papers and he wasn't doing it? I don't know. Like, it's such a big argument right now. She's saying that she bought a whole ass printer and everything.
¿Cuánto me dijiste, Manuel? Tienes que llenar tus papeles. Toma, yo imprimí y llenarlo. Hacelo eso. Nunca.
¿Cuántas veces yo imprimí los papeles y yo solo
¿Dónde están? ¿Dónde están?
No imprimir nada.
Nunca imprimí nada.
Ok, Manuel, yo no imprimir nada. Ok, Manuel. Yo comprar un imprimador por sus papeles, loco.
Now, after the fight separates, of course, the girly pops gotta, band together, and it just feels like she's being validated for not filling out the paperwork or anything. They're all basically kind of just agreeing with what she's saying. It's more of just like a comfort type circle, but like they're validating her feelings for not filling out that paperwork and things like that, and her working so dang hard. So it's just like, it just makes her in her own head feel like right about the situation. But she just brings up that Manuel does a lot of blaming.
Manuel has always done a lot of like blaming.
You gotta be one now. You're married.
We gotta be one instead of the blaming. I think what scares me the most is I've been bending a lot for this relationship, and when you bend something so many times, eventually it breaks.
Which again goes into the whole thing of her saying she was so busy with her own life. So I don't understand what she's been bending and doing. But then a bomb was dropped. We're downstairs and Manuel's talking to people, and Sophie actually is pretty fluent in Spanish. She said she isn't that fluent and she needs him to slow down, but it's mostly because of his accent. But when she's talking and she's listening, I'm like, this girl spoke Spanish this whole time. I don't know if this was ever brought up, but I was surprised. but apparently, Manuel says that he was the one that hired the lawyer. He was the one that found the lawyer to fill out the paperwork.
En tratar de ayudarle con los documentos, pero yo fui la persona que consiguió el abogado. Porque si yo no hubiera contactado al abogado, hasta el día de hoy todavía no hubiéramos hecho nada de papeles.
You lying?
I don't know how real this is because they don't dive into it anymore. But Manuel says that he is the one that got the lawyer. So it sounds like Ashley didn't help out with the paperwork. Now, to get off them, we're going to go to Jasmine and Gino. Of course, before they leave, they got to make sure Gino is...
We just want you to have sex, okay?
You're a drink.
Ed is straight up was like, I had no hope for you guys when you guys came in here. None whatsoever. Of course, Patrick and Ed are going in basically like, why aren't you doing things to your wife? And Gino again explains that he just doesn't want to do that after she's said so many things. They're trying to let Gino know that it's a healthy thing in a relationship to do that. And Jasmine is like, if it's a healthy thing to do, then I'm sick. But this is where things start to spiral a little bit. Jasmine brings up that Gino just would be happy if she was like a robot, a computer that just did the things that he wanted and that's it, didn't say anything else. And Ed brings up like you have to consider his feelings too, you can't just consider yours. And Jasmine's like, but what about my needs? But while Jasmine is trying to explain her point, of course Ed is just trying to control the conversation. And then at one point it's just like, you're being Angela, you're being Angela, you're being Angela. Like,
what about my needs?
No,
I haven't had in 8 months.
Yes, okay, but why?
And any other
Can I tell you
person
why?
who
Can I
has
tell you why? Can I tell
and
you
I
why?
think nothing
Can I
but
tell you why?
patience.
Can I tell you why? You're not listening.
I am
Can I tell-
listening, but I'm
No, you're
so
not. You're being Angela. You're being Angela.
Listen, this is
You're
the
being
thing.
Angela.
he better hope he not see Angela again, because you're using her as her in a negative light, basically. So hopefully he doesn't see Angela again, or Angela doesn't see this anyway. But as Jasmine is trying to explain herself, Ed just keeps going in and in and in, and he just won't stop talking. So Jasmine just snaps.
And it's always me the one that is
Always
wrong.
my fault. What?
Okay. I've been waiting
Slower
to have
your-
sex.
hey,
No, because I'm so frustrated.
You gotta let her talk.
So is he.
This doesn't let me talk.
But this gets Jasmine's anger directed toward Gino, and she straight up is like, you have been rejecting me for 8 months. You say all this crap to me at home, and even your own family is against you. But then she basically just outs him and is just like, you have been acting like this way the whole trip to make it seem like you're such a lovely person, but I knew you were gonna start acting like this the moment this was all over. But while Jasmine is breaking down, begging him, asking him why you can't be intimate with me, of course Patrick has to enter his gym bro brain in. Like,
I mean,
Why
your
can't you
wife is
not-
literally
why can't you not her?
I like having sex with chicks.
Yeah.
but Jasmine basically is just like, this is getting worse and worse, and she doesn't know how to fix this. But eventually they escort her out, try to get her calmed down. But after they escort her out, Ed is still talking and talking and talking, and I'm not even gonna put in what this guy is saying, because he's saying the most basic, like, little teenage, like, you gotta love her to love her, man, type stuff. So it's, nobody should be taking any advice from Ed, let's just say that. But Rob does bring up, like, if you just go in there and give her a hug, like, it could help, it would help. And he's explained, like, him and Sophie have been in arguments, and he would just give her a hug and things would just, like, smooth out and feel better. So he should try that. But of course Gino is not gonna try that. But the girls are comforting Jasmine, and Sophie is trying to explain how Gino is really feeling. Sophie explains that she can't be intimate with Rob if they're having arguments, and she brings up, like, you don't think I don't want to be with Rob? He's very attractive, he's like a handsome guy, of course physically I want to be with him, but when there's arguments, that there's no connection there intimately, and it's not because you're not attractive, but it's just because I'm not feeling that way. And it's wild because while Sophie is upstairs giving Jasmine advice, Rob is downstairs giving Gino advice. It's so wild how the couples that are split up and not in a good... You know what? Let's scratch all that. It's funny how Emily and Kobe, because they seem to be the only stable relationship. But we're taking advice from Ed, Rob, and Sophie. Rob basically is just like, go fight for her, man.
You're fighting now.
Go fight for her.
And this whole part was like, it felt like a bit in like a High School Musical or something, like, go fight for her, go do it now, man, go do it.
You're fighting now.
Go fight for her.
Fighting now. Don't fight later. Don't fight
now.
like Rob.
Fight now, man.
Don't fight like Rob. Fight now.
Then we go back to Jasmine, and she's just saying how she's very anxious to go back to Michigan because things are going to be back to where they are. She's not going to have any of the support. And then Liz asks, like, is she going to give Gino like a timeline on when to get his stuff together? And she says 4 weeks, a month.
It's not looking good, Bev. It's not looking good.
But now we get a part where Sophie and Rob are in their room. They're packing up, getting ready to leave. And Rob actually tells Sophie that he has been seeing a therapist and he thinks that it would be a good idea if they do some couples therapy to try to mend their relationship. And Sophie says that she's actually up for it, that is probably a good idea, and it sounds like maybe the last resort for them. But now it's time for the couples to start trickling out of the house one by one. And we start with Gino and Jasmine. And before they leave, they just have a conversation, basically just saying that they need to get their crap together, their relationship, or it's going to be the end of their relationship. And Jasmine even says that they're going to have to do something drastic if it's going to work out. Gino says they have hope as long as she shuts up and listens to him. He says that as long as she listens and they stop arguing, then their relationship will be just fine. And it sounds like their cousins were right when they said that it's either his way or the highway, and he gets upset if it's not his way. So sounds like Gino may be causing a lot of these arguments. But right before they leave, everybody decides to take a cute little group photo together for the memories. And with that, Jasmine and Gino are off. But now it's time for Thais and Patrick to leave, and they just have a little side interview with Patrick. And all he says is that he's happy that he came. This experience was cool, getting to meet everybody, and that Gino and Jasmine is just a crazy mess. And Kobe and Emily, of course, are just a good couple and a good example of what a solid relationship should be. And then he talks about Ed and Liz and says they're just a really complicated relationship.
Ed and Liz are really complicated. Liz, like, I don't know, she's kind of scandalous, if you ask me. One night, Jason's like throwing over her shoulder, and the next night, she's like holding hands with Ed, and then Ed tells me that Liz said that like Ed was better in bed or something like that.
Now, I don't know how true that is. Something in me wants to be like, yeah, she probably said that. But at the same time, it is Ed. So I don't know. Both of them are just weird. So it's a good possibility that it's real. It's a good possibility it's a lie. And with that, Patrick and Thais are gone. And the next couple we have is Sophie and Rob. And Rob just explains that they are in a tough situation right now, but there is a glimmer of hope in the future, you know, doing therapy and things like that. So, and with that, Sophie and Rob are gone. I don't know if I'm going to say that every time, but it kind of feels good. But the next person we have leave is Liz. And this whole part was so weird. Like, I don't care how much closure you needed. Basically, this whole time she was like, I'm so glad I got closure. I'm so glad I came here and got closure. This was the closure I needed. While she's running her fingers through his hair and stuff. Like, this right here. This is why you shouldn't have been in a relationship already. Obviously, you still have feelings for this man's. It is so weird. Their relationship is so weird. But while Liz is leaving, Ed decides to go ahead and walk her out. They're outside having their goodbyes, and Ed is still trying to be his cutesy, funny self or whatever he's trying to do. And this whole part, again, just so weird. Hopefully Liz got the closure she needed.
I don't want to say goodbye because I'm going to be stalking you.
You're really funny when I'm not dating you.
I know, but basically...
And with that, Liz is gone. And of course, right after that, Ed leaves as well. And he himself says that he got his closure as well. So both of them are closured. And the next couple that are leaving are Manuel and Ashley. And they're in the midst of packing right before they had to leave. Ashley's literally grabbing last minute things off the ground. And she's asking Manuel for help. And he's like, I ain't helping you, woman. But on the side, Manuel says that Ashley is a good woman, but at the same time, she is very selfish. But he says that he just doesn't want to be bound to anybody that he gives so much love to, that he doesn't get anything in return. He says that he actually wants to go, that he wants to leave, which I'm guessing means he wants to go back home.
Realmente no le he dicho a ella, pero me gustaría irme. Gano, aunque sea unos $100 cada semana, pero le estoy ayudando a mis hijos. Pero aquí, ¿qué hago? Lavando su ropa. Ella no va a perder la vida de mis hijos. Si ella no me entiende y sigue con su... Estoy bien en Ecuador. Estoy feliz. Se va la m***. Fácil.
And Kobe and Emily are also the last two here. And it's so cute because Kobe is helping Emily get her little Ugg boot on. Manuel, Ashley, Kobe, and Emily all pile up into the van. And it's time to leave as well. And with that, the tell-all is over. Or you thought so anyway. Because they gave us some more extra stuff. And I'm going to tell you now, none of this was that juicy. It wasn't at all. But I quickly just want to recap this. So they do a little after hours of the tell-all, whatever. I don't know why they decided to add all this weird stuff. But basically, the first part is during one of the parts of the tell-alls, they brought in a guy that does the lie detector test. But they give everybody a card and ask them to write down a question. It doesn't have to be for their partner. It could be for anybody on the stage. And only a few people got questions. And they said this was all voluntary. So if you don't want to do it, then you don't have to do it. But the people that got questions were Gino, Jasmine, Sophie, and Liz. And only one person decided to take the test. Liz had some lame-ass excuse being like, oh, me and Jason said we're just gonna put all of this behind us. Last night we were like, this is the last night, the closure is closed. Even though days later you still over here running your hands through Ed's hair and apparently cuddling and holding hands. Girl, do not even. But the only person that decided to actually do it was Jasmine. And she got 4 questions. But her first question was, are you attracted to Gino? And she says, of course, yes. And the guy said, that's the truth. But then her second question, oof, was they asked her if she cheated on Dane the day before she came to America. Because remember, she was yelling and hollering about that she did.
See a video of me with Dan.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to see that?
Go ahead.
That is pretty
Go ahead, I'll
recent
show you
from
some.
1 month
I'll show
ago.
you some.
And she said no. And apparently she was telling the truth. Then the third question was, do you plan to leave Gino? And she said no. And I said it was true, which she ain't with Gino anymore. But then the fourth question was, do you think your boobs are too big? And she said yes. And he was like, nah, she capping. She lying about that. And of course, we all know she is into the surgeries now. She said she wants to get bigger boobs, which bigger boobs and a tinier waist. Like, is she trying to look like a whole ass lollipop? But with that, they end this little part. Again, they only had 4 people and only one person, Jasmine, answered the questions. Then we go to the backstage and Kobe actually, straight up just asked Gino the question that Emily wanted to ask Gino.
Emily wrote a question for you.
Wow.
Question for me, Emily was asking about your toes. Like, do you love it when Jasmine suck your toe or your
I would say her sucking on my dirty, disgusting toes.
brother? Ugh.
But then they actually give us some of Ed and Liz's, moments. Apparently Ed had a picture of them from their engagement. He ended up leaving it at a pharmacy or something. They gave it back to him, so he's been holding on to it, and he shows Liz, and it makes her all emotional. And she's like, oh my goodness, can I keep it? Can I keep it? But I have closure. I don't want you in my life anymore, but can I keep this picture? Oh my God. Like, girl, you are still in love with this man. Don't even try. But then this goes into another clip of Patrick and Ed talking, and I'm gonna just get straight to the point. Freak all the other nitty gritty. Patrick is straight up just like, it seems like you guys were cuddling and doing all this stuff. It looks like you were trying to do one time for old time's sake. And Ed is straight up like, oh yeah, I could have done it. I could have done it easily. Easy, no problems. But, I was trying to be a gentleman. And right when he's saying that, Liz walks over, and I wish she would have heard that part. But then we have another clip with Ed and Liz, another moment. They probably did do something in that house, like Jesus. But Ed comes over and asks her to unblock her off his Instagram and from the contacts. Like, it's so funny, you know how to block him, but you can't unblock him. But she does it for him, and they're having their old funny, cutesy moment. And she's like, this is the Ed I fell in love with. But then they start getting more emotional, and he's over there like, oh, I just need a little fixing. I'm gonna be okay. And they start all crying like, ooh. Get these people off my dang screen already. The next scene that they show us is behind the scenes part before they get onto the stage. And Emily's very upset with Kobe because the night before they had an argument about the baby name. She absolutely does not want to name her baby Atem after his best friend. She's like, we can make it the middle name or something, like, and he does not want to compromise with it. And he's like, I just hope you have a girl so you're happy. It's just, out of everything, this is the most ridiculous thing. Like, I can't believe they're arguing over this. And for the fact that Kobe is so, like, strung out, that wasn't the right term, but, like, he's just so upset that she doesn't want to name her baby after a best friend that she doesn't even get along with. But again, to name your baby after your best friend is kind of weird. So this argument should have never happened, but of course she's upset about the whole situation. But then we get a little recap on them, and it tells us that Emily and Kobe did have a boy, and they did agree to name their baby Atem. But then we get a clip of Michael and Angela, and it's when they're getting ready for the tell-all. And Angela is saying how she took the PI, her daughter, and him out to dinner, and she was being nice. And it is wild because the statement she says is like, what is wrong with you?
Michael thought because I was being super nice that, everything is back to normal. When I'm being nice to, it's because I'm really about done.
What do you mean? So you basically just said that you're just a bitch unless you're done. Once you're done, that's when you want to be nice? Like, but then this goes into her saying that she took his wedding ring, the ring that he has had on for 4 years apparently. He even had the line mark of the ring on his finger, like his fingers were growing around that ring. But she straight up says, like, that's my ring. America can go get you a ring if you want to marry America so bad. And it's like, technically, no, it's not your ring. Once you give somebody a wedding ring, that is their ring. It's a gift. That is their ring. You can't just be like, give me that ring back, I'm divorcing you. I mean, you can, but that's such a dick ass move, which, I mean, we already know that's what Angela is. But then this goes into their recap, and it's quite funny, to be honestly. Well, not funny because the situation is just like really bad. This should have never gotten to this situation. It should have never gotten to this point. But we get a little clip of Angela. This is all after the tell-all. Apparently after 3 or 4 days, Michael just up and disappeared. And you remember earlier when she was saying that she wanted to be alone, that she wanted to go home alone? Why is she tripping that Michael's gone now? That's what she wanted, right? Like, why is she on here being like, my worst fears done came true? I feel like she is just trying to milk every little sympathy point that she can get out of people. But yeah, she basically just explains that Michael has just up and gone. Then we get a clip of Michael explaining his side, basically saying that, you know, Angela was doing what Angela does, just being a horrible person, and he was just tired of it. He was done with it. So one day when she went out for errands, he grabbed his bag, grabbed his legal documents, and just left. And apparently he walked for 5 hours until he was able to use somebody's phone, which is crazy that he doesn't have his own phone. That's just, that in itself is wild, especially when he's in a situation where he's married, he has a wife, he has like a family and a home. Like, why don't you have a cell phone? So he didn't even have a phone. He had to ask somebody to use their phone. He finally got a hold of some of his friends, and they directed him towards a bus stop. And from there, I guess he just went to a friend's house. Of course, he went somewhere where he's safe, and he's in an undisclosed location. But then we get the Wicked Witch of the South's face one more time, and she's just like, I'll see you one more time again, Michael. Either be on that plane or in that courtroom. I'll see you again, Michael. But with all that, the tell-all is finally done, and season 8 of Happily Ever After is done. And hopefully we never, ever, ever see Angela's face on our screens ever again. Apparently TLC fired her. I heard some rumors about her daughter maybe being on The Single Life, but that was just rumors. So let's hope not. Like, oh, jeez. But thank you guys again for coming and watching me. It's always appreciated. Now, just for some extra luck, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe, and maybe it'll keep Angela off our TVs for the next billion trillion years. But thank you guys again. You guys have a beautiful day. Bye.